Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to a Tin Dog podcast, this time talking about Toby Hadoke and Rob Sherman's magnum opus, Running Through Corridors, Volume 2, out right now from Mad Norwegian Press. This is Volume 2, covering the 70s. Now, straight off, I will say in this review that the one thing that you, as a listener, need to do is not ask Rob at all when you meet him when Volume 3's coming. We know it's written, we know it exists, we know it's out there in some sort of electronic form somewhere, and they're busy beavering away at it, but every time we ask, we mess with the guy's head. So don't. Imagine it's like going up to George Martin, no, not the Beatles bloke, George R. Martin, and saying, "When's the next Game of Thrones book out, mister?" And then he'll start crying. It's like that. So, do you promise not to ask nice Rob when it's coming? Because it'll be with us at some point. Promise? Good. Now I can continue. I know you loved Volume 1. It was great. A nice rewatch of Doctor Who from 2009. Oh, do you remember those heady days? I mean, let's face it, 2009 was the year that, well, my daughter was born. It was the year that my best mate died. And she's now 7, nearly 8. And now we have Volume 2 in our hands, because that was the year that they watched every episode of Doctor Who. That was the year that Toby got married. Now, I remember from experience, when I got married, one of the last things I wanted to be doing is reviewing and watching every single episode of Doctor Who. I wouldn't be that insane. I'm sure that, in fact, both of them were very, very busy that year. But they were constantly firing emails back and forth and making us all laugh eventually in the long run. Writing thousands upon thousands of words, using, admittedly, abbreviations amongst themselves, stuff that had to be re-expanded, unzipped almost, in order for it to be publishable, readable. But a readable version eventually arrived. And we've had Volume 1 on our shelves for a few years now. We've loved it. The entirety of the 60s made flesh, made real. Rewatching Doctor Who so that you don't have to, I'm sure someone said at some point. These books have become indispensable, similar to the discontinuity guide, and almost as important, they sit on our shelves, brooding, knowing things that we don't, but above all, making us laugh. These are just two friends watching the same things we do and having a laugh. A similar experience can be found in the Adventures with a Wife in Space, only these guys know about Doctor Who. And that is not a bad thing. So that was Volume 1. Volume 2 is with us now, and if you're waiting for the electronic version, it'll be out next May. But if you want the Dead Tree version, well, that you can get from any good, or indeed not so good, bookshop. We all know that Volume 1 was great. Volume 2 is even better. It deals and looks at every single story and every single episode in a little bit more depth than you would think. Yes, things are not perfect. Doctor Who is not a perfect creature. Even the City of Death isn't the most perfect story. Don't shoot the messenger. But other things that you've always thought of, fan-received wisdom, as being less than impressive, they're seen with new and fresh eyes. It will inspire you to rewatch stories you've long since gone, no. Individual episodes come in for extreme praise. Yes, whole stories might be, let's say, slightly drab, but in that drab mess, there might be some wonderful gem of an episode. So re-experience classic Doctor Who, and do it with a couple of really good friends. And yes, Volume 3 will be out eventually, but you know what? Why not spend the time waiting for Volume 3, reading Volume 2? Yes, we all like those nice filled spaces on the shelves. But you know what? Let's all just shut up and read, shall we? So until next time, when I'm sure I'll be talking about something Doctor Who related, be seeing you. That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.